All right, let's dive right in. We are at one of the most dramatic and important moments in the entire story, the very end of Genesis. And it all comes down to a dying father's last words, words that are going to shape the future of a nation.
So picture the scene. The great patriarch Jacob. He's an old man now, living in Egypt, and he's on his deathbed. He calls his 12 sons to his side for one last huge meeting. And he tells them, hey, I'm not just here to say goodbye. I'm here to tell you what's going to happen to you in the last days.
And what he says next? These are not your typical sweet deathbed blessings. No way. These are prophecies that are going to set the foundation for everything. Each son, who's about to become the father of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, is about to be handed his destiny, for better or for worse.
Now, Jacob goes through and addresses every single one of his sons, from Reuben all the way down to Benjamin. But for our purposes, we're going to zero in on the most shocking moments, the ones that just completely flip the family power structure on its head and really set the stage for the next chapter.
Okay, let's get into this, because the way things should have gone is not at all what happens. This is where the real drama kicks off.
So this right here shows you this incredible reversal of fortune. Look at Reuben. He's the firstborn. He should have inherited everything. But because of a major sin in his past, Jacob basically tells him, "You're unstable as water, you will not excel." Ouch, he's demoted. And then, in this jaw-dropping twist, the fourth son, Judah, gets the ultimate promise. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. This isn't just a blessing, people. This is the prophecy of the royal line, the line of all future kings.
And then there's Joseph. This quote just perfectly captures his whole life story. The prophecy calls him that was separate from his brethren. Think about that. The very brothers who sold him into slavery now have to stand there and listen to their father just pile blessing after blessing on his head. Blessings from heaven, blessings of the earth, blessings of fruitfulness. It's his ultimate vindication.
So, after dropping these life-altering prophecies, the story's not quite over. Jacob has one final, absolutely critical instruction for his sons.
And this is so important. Jacob and his family are basically royalty in Egypt at this point, the most powerful nation on earth, and yet his dying wish is to be buried in some cave back in the humble land of Canaan. He is drilling home a powerful message. Egypt is not your home. Our real promise lies somewhere else.
And with that command given, his life's work is done. The patriarch of Israel dies.
Now just look at what happens next. Joseph has his father embalmed, which takes 40 days. But get this, the Egyptians themselves, the whole nation, mourns Jacob for a full 70 days. This wasn't some quiet family affair. This was a national event. It just goes to show you the unbelievable status and power that Joseph held.
So Pharaoh gives Joseph the green light to go, and the funeral procession that leaves Egypt is, well, it's staggering. The Bible calls it a very great company. I mean, just imagine it. You've got Joseph's entire family, all the elders from Pharaoh's own court, all the top officials of Egypt, plus a military escort of chariots and horsemen. This is more than a funeral. It's a massive display of political power and respect.
And when this huge procession finally gets to Canaan, they hold a 7-day mourning ceremony that is so intense, the local Canaanites are just blown away. And notice what they call it, a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. How fascinating is that? Even at the absolute peak of their influence, with the whole Egyptian court there, they are still seen as outsiders in the very lands that was promised to them.
So with Jacob finally buried, the story shifts to its final, really emotional test. What's going to happen now between Joseph and the brothers who once sold him into slavery?
You can just feel the panic. The brothers are absolutely terrified. They were convinced that the only thing keeping them safe from Joseph's revenge was their father. Now that he's gone, they're sure the other shoe's about to drop. So they cook up this plan. They send a messenger to Joseph, using their dead father's name, just begging for forgiveness. Then they all go and literally fall on the ground at his feet, offering to be his slaves. They are bracing for the worst, fully expecting to pay for what they did all those years ago.
And Joseph's reaction is, wow. First, he just weeps. Then he says one of the most incredible things in the entire book. He doesn't let them off the hook for what they did. He says, flat out, you thought evil against me. But then he reframes the whole story, but God meant it for good. He sees this huge, divine purpose behind all of his suffering, that it was all to save his family and so many others. So instead of revenge, what does he give them? A promise. He tells them, don't be afraid. I will continue to provide for you and for your children.
The cycle of betrayal and fear is finally, once and for all, broken by pure grace and forgiveness. So Joseph goes on to live a long, full life. He makes it to 110 years old, he stays in Egypt, and watches his family just explode in number, even getting to see his own great-grandchildren.
But then, on his own deathbed, he does something that sounds awfully familiar. It's a move straight out of his father's playbook. He makes his whole family swear an oath. He tells them that one day, God is going to bring them out of Egypt and back to the Promised Land, and when that day comes, they have to promise to take his bones with them.
And so Joseph dies. He gets embalmed, just like an Egyptian noble. But the book of Genesis closes on this really powerful, haunting image. The Savior of Israel isn't in some grand pyramid. He's simply put in a coffin in Egypt. He's just waiting.
It's really the perfect ending because it's also a beginning. It wraps up the story of the Founding Fathers while perfectly setting the stage for the epic of Exodus, a coffin in Egypt holding onto a promise of a new land. It just leaves us with that one big question. How on earth is that promise going to be fulfilled?